morning. Good morning. Go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Preston County Commission. Today is December 6th, 2022, and start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the record show that Commissioner Smith and Stone are present. Commissioner Price is out today at a meeting with the principal. Do we have anyone from the public to be recognized that is not on the agenda?
No.
Take a review of the bills.
At this time, I move that we pay the bills as they have been properly presented and approved.
Second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to pay the bills as they have been properly presented and approved. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we will move on to our 9:31 appointment, Amanda Pitzer with an ARPA request.
Move this thing.
Is it even on?
It's not like, just talk loud, Amanda.
Okay, I'm
Just
gonna
talk
talk loud
loud.
anyway because I can't hear very well, so if I'm yelling at you, it's because we're still
I
battling
can't
this
hear
sinus
very well
stuff.
either.
Well, yeah, I yell at you all the time, Don, so that we're used to that. Well, thank you for having us this morning. I'm Amanda with Friends of the Chief. Also joining me, Lisa Marafa, our newest hire. She's been with us over a year. And Dan Luzier with Masontown Fire Department. And I'm also waiting on one more, Rick Landenberger from the West Virginia Land Trust, who is behind a truck on Route 7. He might walk in the door as I'm speaking.
Okay.
So I want to take the opportunity to just thank you guys again for your ongoing support of Friends of the Chief and also all the projects that you funded with the ARPA funds. We're really thrilled to see those things develop in the county. And while I'm here, I also want to give a nod for the Rollsburg Ask. I was hoping to join them and help put that together, and I was unable to. So, but we are here today with a new ask. We think it's a really important fix that needs to happen here in the county, and what I'm referring to is needed repairs on the west side of Bull Run Road for EMS access. So for the last 10 years, Friends of the Chief has been raising private donations, private dollars from individuals and organizations to improve, or not improve, just maintain the bare minimum passable situation on the east side. And over the years, we have been in constant, communication with Dan and his team, and the EMS route to that location is down the west side from the Masontown side of Bull Run. And I was also very surprised to learn that, and Dan's got a map here, that their service area actually extends over the bridge and up the east side, almost essentially all the way to the intersection of Johnson Road in the Albright zip code. So today I'm here to respectfully ask you to consider $50,000 in ARPA funds for Friends of the Chief to work in coordination with not only the Masontown Fire Department, but the West Virginia Land Trust to conduct essentially the bare minimum needed repairs of that road this spring. Again, we're focused on EMS access. This is not a recreational ask, but we know that the user groups down there vary from paddlers to ATV riders to just folks that are interested in taking in the beauty of that area. I'm going to keep it brief. I think we've answered all the questions we needed to in the form. And because I'm waiting on Mr. Landenberger, I'm actually going to tag in Dan now so he can give a little bit of perspective on the challenges they face accessing that area. So without further ado, Dan, who's here with Masontown Volunteer Fire Department.
I didn't know I was going
Yeah,
to talk.
well, you're going to talk. And I think this is helpful to see the map.
Okay.
So Dan,
I was gonna say, you guys provided a lot of the good information, especially
So
where
you can see
you
this
guys are.
blue area.
Okay, this is the Bull Run Road coming from Masontown.
Right.
Right there's the Bull Run Bridge. Okay, you can see Chief River, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
If you see this area here, that is on the Brewston side. We cover all that area too. We just clear up to the Johnson Road on the Brewston side.
Right.
Brewston Fire Department used to cover all that. They said they didn't want anything to do with it. Didn't want any part of it, so it got turned over to us.
Okay.
So we take care of both sides of the river.
Mhm.
You know, we cover, there's actually some residents there too. You know, there's a couple of hunting camps and stuff in here also, brush fires or anything else like that. So, every time we go down here with our Swiftwater rescue trailer, in the last, I'd say probably 4 to 5, maybe 6 calls, we've busted tires on our trailer every time. We have to buy a wheel and a tire, you know, because it bends the rims. The holes are so bad. I usually beat up on the Department of Highways, try to get them, you know, but there's a lot of maintenance that needs done, you know, the brush, the holes, you know.
I think the lack of the maintenance that does not take place on it because of the road and the route that it is why it continues to get to, you know, just
So bad.
and
That's
get
correct.
so
Yeah.
bad in the places that it
So it
does.
was 2016 that the last minimal maintenance was done, and that was after Stan and others really made the case, and Delegate Schaefer was involved. I think you guys might remember there was a ride along, they went down on it.
We had quite a few fatalities. We had 7 fatalities in 1 year on that highway. And at that point, they were all WVU students. And that kind of got the ball rolling. And of course, we've had other fatalities, you know, local people and stuff too. And, you know, that kind of got the ball rolling.
Last time I've been down there was probably 2017. It's the last time I've actually been completely through there.
I mean, you can go down now and there's crosses on trees
That was when we had.
and the ground and.
I remember that, because that was my first time with commissioner, over talking to you guys about that. That was when the DOH, we tried to get them to, instead of fixing the bridge, to actually fix the road. Because even if the bridge was impassable, at least you could get in from both sides then.
Right.
Because, you know, our argument was, if you're not gonna fix the road, what's the point? Because you're gonna have to fix the road to get the equipment to the bridge to fix it.
So with that, to take that thought a little further, Don, this is just a Band-Aid, we know that. This is just a
Yeah.
Band-Aid, and I'm here to share with you, and I've talked a little bit about this with you, Don, is that Friends of the Cheat will be making, and not just Friends of the Cheat, but now under the, with our partners, the Mountaineer Trail Network, we've assessed tourism potential across 16 counties, all the way from Wood County down to Pocahontas County. And the Cheat River paddling is the, really the most viable economic driver for tourism in our area. So we are going to be making a pitch to not only DOH, but our partners at tourism to really put some resources into that road. And with the new funding available to DOH for non-program bridges, they'll be receiving $750 million a year, every year for the next 5 years. We will be making a play to save that bridge. That is one of 3 Canton-style bridges left, and it is a historical location. And now that my last guest is here, Rick, and he's taking his coat off, I'm gonna ask him to come up here and talk a little bit about the investment that the West Virginia Land
And
Trust.
the other big thing, one other thing I had to say too is the distance to get there. You know, Masontown Fire Department is so much closer than Brewston. Fire
It is, but yeah.
Oh,
it is.
miles,
Oh,
miles,
yeah, oh my
miles.
gosh.
I measured that at one time, and I think it was like 13 miles, and don't quote me on this, please, for Brewston, and it was like, I think 3 miles for us or something like that.
I mean, I pulled it up just so I can get a, you know, so I can kind of a little closer view in that map. Oh my, you can just look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
There's a big difference, you know, which means a lot.
I think driving normal speed, just once you hit the Bull Run Road to get to the end of the blacktop, I mean, it's probably 6 to 7 minutes, just normal speed.
Yeah.
It's not that
Yeah,
long
Yeah.
to get down in there.
that was another big thing too, you know, was the distance to get there, so. So it just, you know, it just common sense.
Mhm.
It really is. Okay, thank you all.
Dan. And Rick, would you mind adding a little bit?
Sure. First of all, apologize for being late.
Okay.
Good morning, so I'm Rick Langenberger. I'm the West Virginia Land Trust's management staff person. The Land Trust protects 20,000 acres around the state. We use conservation easements and we purchase property also to protect it. And we have 14 acres of property down on the cheat. It's that parcel just on the east side of the bridge where the parking lot is, and it goes up to Big Sandy. We've been working with the Friends of the Cheat for the past couple of years to improve the place for public access, basically. You know, it's a very popular spot among locals, and WVU students come down there to fish and swim and party and that sort of thing. We've invested $200,000 very conservatively over the past couple of years to buy the property and to upgrade the recreational facilities there, the infrastructure. And we've noticed a tremendous difference in the number of people that are using the property now, in the type of use that goes on down there. There used to be a lot of kind of sketchy illegal uses down there. It seems like there's more families coming down there to use it. And that's a big part of our goal with the West Virginia Land Trust, is to make our properties accessible to the general public, not a specific user group, people with four-wheel drives and that sort of thing. Just a personal note, I've been going down there for 28 years since I lived in Morgantown, and I've noticed a tremendous difference. It really is quite an inviting place now for people. But the road coming in, especially from the west, is extremely challenging, you know. So from a recreational access standpoint, from a community development standpoint, from an outdoor recreation standpoint, we really support the application to fix up that road. So if I can answer any questions about that, I'm certainly happy to do that, but that's basically my statement.
I have two questions. I'm not sure who can answer that, and I've not completely gotten through the packet of everything.
Sure.
Are we looking, do we have in our packet here everything as far as the cost that it will take to complete the repairs?
No, what I've done is I've asked you for $50,000, and if you're able to give $50,000, we will absolutely be able to spend $50,000. We've been working with Solid Rock Excavating on the east side for 10 years, and we're not, that outfit is not willing to move their equipment across the bridge. So we're gonna have to hire a second.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hire a second, hopefully local company that can mow in from the west side. So just the mobilization of two different contractors is gonna, increase the cost.
Right.
So we're looking at essentially filling holes, likely some signage. We will not be undertaking any geotechnical or structural work because we're not gonna hire an engineer, so I'll be field engineered.
Right.
Again, this is the Band-Aid to get
So
us
it's
to.
more like a core maintenance initiative?
Yeah.
It really is. It's like you were saying, it's the grading, the filling and the ditching, which is really just, like you said, just to keep it somewhat,
Cut it out the brush.
keep it somewhat used and come back to brush, that's a big plus.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to mention is once you get, there's a really drastic lip on the bridge when you have to get from the road to the
Oh,
bridge.
yeah.
We'll likely try and address that too. So I have not circled hot spots or anything like that. We're also gonna be using our own fundraising dollars, so if we're able to leverage the ARPA funds against private donations, we'll spend it all. Gravel isn't cheap. There's in addition to that, if there is an ability to, install a couple signs, I think we would also do that.
And the land trust would support that too, through our efforts.
Does that answer your question, Samantha?
Yeah, I think so. I was just looking for cost and then.
Yeah, typically what we do is we assess the funds and then we go out and we flag and just
Do what
spray
you
paint
can with
and walk through.
Just see what you can do with that. Just try to stretch it as far as you can until it
Yeah.
runs out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, thank you guys. Any other questions? And I'm happy if you're interested in a more detailed map or anything like that, I can provide that as well.
I know the area pretty well, so.
Yeah, we should take a cruise. Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and move on with our 9:35 appointment. We have Dr. Rosen, the opioid crisis discussion. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, commissioners, for having us. I'm Dr. Heather Rosen, and this is my husband, Mark Turley. We have a company called Recovery Care. And as everybody knows now, especially since the pandemic has blown kind of everything wide open. The opiate epidemic is the worst it's ever been. We have contacts in Pennsylvania that are telling us now that they have a new drug route going from Philadelphia all the way to Baltimore, coming right directly into West Virginia. A little bit about myself, I'm a board certified family practitioner as well as addiction medicine, and I have a strong passion for the opiate epidemic. Unfortunately, like many of us, I've had a personal family circumstance that kind of led me into that niche. And I was telling my husband, when I was practicing, in Pennsylvania, we had so many patients coming down from West Virginia, and I just couldn't understand, why they were driving, 2, 3, 4 hours from Elkins, from all sorts of areas. And I realized that they just didn't have enough places in West Virginia to get adequate treatment. So he came up with the idea, being a native from West Virginia, he said, why don't you open one in my hometown? So that's kind of what started us on our journey. We started one in Kaiser. We've been there for about 5 years. I've hence moved to New Creek, which I completely love. Fell in love with West Virginia, fell in love with the people, and I really feel committed to wanting to help. Which brought me here today, and thank you very much, is, we've really created a successful model, successful being that many of our patients have gotten off drugs. They're now having gainful employment. A lot of them are going back to college. And I can show you some of the statistics. And I think what makes the program that we run so successful is we actually treat, we treat patients with respect and dignity that they haven't been, served elsewhere. We find, a need in the community and we help to serve that. For instance, when I first came to the area, I was just a physician prescribing, the opiate and MAT medications. Well, then I realized that, my patients needed counseling because, I could sit and write prescriptions all day, but unless they figure out kind of what the core of why they became addicted in the first place, it just was meaningless. So we created a licensed behavioral health center. We do IOP, intensive outpatient treatments. We also do trauma-based counseling. And I wanted to go further because I was hearing a lot of stories with, these types of medications. It was really hard for the patients to, get them from the pharmacies because they were being stigmatized. So my husband and I decided, well, why don't we open a pharmacy? So we opened up a pharmacy to kind of help, create this strong bond with the patients to let them know that this is a judgment-free zone. And I would really like to offer those services. I think that, we have 3 different ways that we can help your community. We can, set up a place here, which I would be more than willing to do. We are in the process of buying a mobile van where we can actually transport patients to where we are, or we can do the telehealth option, which has been working really great. We have a lot of patients in Morgantown and Martinsville. What that entails is, we do a face-to-face. We do the drug screens from the oral swab, everything, and they speak to our counselors that way.
The big thing, we're looking to start the transport system in March. And we're looking at different areas to come through. Now, a very personal friend of mine is going to be retiring, and he's going to be a retired state trooper. And that's who I've been talking to about driving the bus. Because A, he's got a law enforcement background. B, as a trooper, he spends a lot of time on the road. And he is a very good gentleman. He's been a friend of the family for years. I'm originally from a little town called Fort Ashby, West Virginia, right outside of Kaiser. Well, my
In fact, I
family,
may actually know the guy you're talking about because I knew a couple of guys that were state troopers in that way.
well,
But I'm not gonna ask.
my family is very tightly connected into that community. My uncle was deputy chief in the fire department. My cousin is fire chief. A lot of the deputies, we adopted a little girl, and a lot of the deputies, they come up to our house, they come to our office. I tease them all the time and tell them, I say, hey guys, I said, you want free coffee? Come in. I said, and they started coming in and they're like, this is crazy. We walk in your office and they said, better than public have these people we've arrested at some point. And they said, and fought us. And now they're coming up and shaking our hands, asking us how we're doing. They said, that doesn't happen. Not where they were from, looking at it from their perspective. And I told them, I said, once you're clean, everything changes in your life. I was a trauma nurse and a flight nurse for 24 years. at the University of Pittsburgh. And I told my wife, I came home from work one day, I went out and I said, just leave me alone. I'm going out in the backyard and I'm just gonna sit there. And she came down later and she said, what happened? And I said, man, Patrick Harold, we went through Pittsburgh. I said, I started out at 7 a.m. I ended the day, 17 people died in a 12-hour shift. I said, I'm over this. And I teach her all the time. She'll come up to me and she'll go, how's it going? And I said, my worst days with her are better than my best days working the ERs anymore. Because it was a repetitive term stop. And it got to the point that we knew a lot of the patients by name. When the EMS would bring them in, we're like, okay, here we go again. And I got fed up with it. I said, there's got to be a different alternative to this. And the big difference with us, a lot of the clinics that do what we do have gotten bad names through the years because they strictly are cash clinics. It's about the money. We deal 100% with the insurance carriers. We do not like cash clinic mentality. We do not do methadone. I'm not a believer in methadone treatment. It's just for what I saw in the ERs. And it's worked well for the communities that we're in Pennsylvania and here. And the office in PA, we've actually opened up a family practice and we started doing allergy testing up there for patients. And we're going to move that model once that one goes down to the West Virginia office as well.
Where was your West Virginia office located?
It's in Kaiser,
What's it called?
recovery care. I have my little cards.
But part of it was, I just wanted to know if with doing the van and transporting the patients, if the community would have a problem with us coming up and picking people up here and physically bringing them to our office.
Sure. By all means, it's definitely something to explore. We couldn't, give that blessing of any sort today without actually doing some community outreach and talking with the professionals in our county that, are currently working on things like this. So definitely some more information is needed. And I do appreciate you coming in and talking with us about this. We've been, working through some things with the opioid litigation and, different things going on. And so we've got some decisions to make moving forward in the future for what that kind of recovery care looks like here.
Right.
Have you talked to our board of health, the board of health here yet?
Not yet.
Okay, that would be, I think, the best avenue right at the moment to do, talk to them and see, because I think it'd be good if it does happen here, to coordinate with them, to see what they already have in place, to see if maybe that can help, kind of help one another, help. I think it'd be a good benefit. And a completely on a side note, have you ever heard about that bridge apparatus that they use for opioid dependency?
The bridge,
It's an electronic device.
No.
I'll give you an email or something up.
okay.
I found out about it. It actually helps mitigate a lot of the symptoms. A lot of people don't like to wear it because it looks like a hearing aid, but I wear hearing aids, I don't care. But it helps. It's on the ear and it actually mitigates the symptoms of withdrawal from opiates. And it's been proven quite effective. So I found out about it and I actually passed the information on to our community corrections people and stuff, but happy to share with you because it may be another avenue to help with that situation.
I
So,
love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just read these.
Yes, please.
thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we will go on with our 9:45 appointment. We have Dennis Pearson, the mayor of Reedsville, with an ARPA agreement signing. Preston?
How are ya?
Morning,
Good.
funding, I guess, is the director.
Yeah, fun.
Huh? Yes. It was pretty great, I think. Good for
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. That works. If you would like to, Dennis, just let the group know exactly
Basically, we asked for some funding. Reedsville Sewer Service has some issues, as every sewer service does, and we're taking some action to try and research and basically figure out what we have that we're working with some of our old systems in the collection system. So this money that the commission has granted us, which is greatly appreciated, is going to go towards hiring some engineers to research those areas and try to pinpoint some problem areas that we may have, and hopefully go forward with some repairs in the future. We have to know where to look first, though. So.
Today's the 6th, 12/6. It's almost over.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are for me. Okay.
And then we can do this.
However we want to do it.
Well, it's getting,
Just want
at
to.
least you can see him.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move right along. Next up, we have the mayor of Kingwood, John, with another ARPA signing agreement.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here on behalf of the Kingwood Sewer Department, thanking you. We are going to start our projects of removing grinder pumps. We have 53 to 55 that are still in use, and we just want to get rid of them.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's an ongoing problem.
it's been an ongoing issue.
Yep.
The 2012 project, we moved 100, and we still have about 55 left. So this is the start, and wanted to say thank you.
No problem. You mind to get a picture?
Sure.
You sure you do mind?
Yes. Between, thank you guys.
Smile, John.
All right.
He is trying.
I can't wait forever.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good afternoon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take it over for you.
Still.
All right, and lastly, we have James Cottrell, the mayor of the town of Masontown.
Yeah.
Our last one today.
Yay! Save the best for last, did you?
James, if you wouldn't mind, just let everybody know, refresh the memory.
Oh, the memory.
Memory.
Masontown Sewer Plant is creating and building a sludge storage building next to our sewer plant so we can store sludge until it's adequately disposed of.
Yes.
And I thought I had a stroke when everybody called and told me it was $1 million project for a building. Still puzzling that one out, but I'm tickled to death that the county.
All the permitting, all the regulatory guidance.
Yes,
is why.
absolutely.
That's the main cost of the building. The
Yeah.
building probably costs $250,000.
Yeah, that's what,
The $750,000 is to get all the permitting.
yeah, that's the sad part about it.
Yeah, I know.
Because at the time, they gave you extra grant money.
All right,
Easy enough, right?
easy enough. You have time for a picture?
Sure, I got all day.
I wish I did.
But he got me till 2 o'clock. and I gotta
Okay,
go.
all right. Give it this way, just away from that light, please.
Oh, too much light. Okay.
Thank you,
Very good.
thank you, thank you. It's yours.
Congratulations,
Right.
sir.
I didn't take-
Good work and
I didn't
great
take the
and
minutes.
glorious things.
I'll make it up. All right, our last appointment today, and we are somehow managed to be right on track with Ms. Linda Huckins, our county clerk, with an employee hire.
Samantha, I laid a letter in front of you,
Yes.
and Dawn in front of you, and then both of them emailed to you, that was my intention. But for your consideration, I'm requesting to hire Carrie Davis from Independence, and this position will be part-time and working to a full-time position at $13 an hour, and scheduled to start tomorrow. Yes, approved.
This time, I make a motion that we approve this request for hire of Ms. Davis for the deputy, as position deputy county clerk.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the advice to hire Carrie Davis of Independence in the position of deputy county clerk, part-time position, and working to a full-time position at the hourly rate of $13 per hour starting December 7th, 2022, with a probationary period of 3 months. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Forward the meeting. All right, we'll move along with an approval of the minutes.
Move that we approve the minutes of November 15th.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of November 15th, 2022. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
At this time, I also like to move that we approve the state settlements for Reed, Severna, and Teeter.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the estate settlement list, November 21st, 2022 through November 22nd, 2022 for Reed, Severa, and Teeter Jr. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. PIVs.
This time, I'd like to move that we dispense with reading and accepting the record of the PIVs for November 24th through the 30th.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to dispense with the readings of the proceedings and vacation and enter them into record for November 24th through November 30th, 2022. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. We have nothing under the fiduciary commissioner report today. Brings us to our old business, CARES funding.
Nothing.
Any additional ARPA?
I have a topic that will come up under
Okay.
my report, but that would be it.
And then under the EMS ordinance discussion, we do have a meeting next week that we're going to focus on that. Commissioner Price is not here today. I did attend the EMS meeting. Of course, I attend via Zoom because it's just not possible for me to get to Kingwood in the time we start the meetings. But just some good discussion. I did encourage Camp and Terrell to look at drafting some letters that we can take on to our state representation in the time that we are in Charleston to look at seeking state funding for our EMS, and also encouraged them to come down to help with lobbying for those funds when we go down in January and February. So it was a good meeting that they had. I'm sure Commissioner Price would have additional information, but it was a good meeting.
Before we move on, do we want to discuss this a little bit, the request that they made for the Bull Run EMS repairs at the time? Because I know we do have certain amounts of funding available if it's, and I'm not sure what their timetable was on that. She left already, so I'm not sure. Hey, you guys have a timetable when you wanted to start the project? I mean, I'm assuming it's not this second, obviously.
No, but in the spring, maybe when things dry out,
Okay.
we could use the winter to do some recon, some of the bigger
It
towns.
says March, April 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought so. I just want to make sure though.
Okay, all right. New business, we have our 2023 land books and personal property tax, books remain open letter.
Here's a copy for you. This is for us to be able to set the James Liberty Board of Equalization and Review. We have 5 tentative dates and 1 alternate set, and with this letter, we will be able to finalize when the books will remain open, and we'll be able to hold hearings.
Okay.
All right, I move that the 2023 land books and personal property tax books remain open for changes through February 16th, 2023.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded to keep those land books open and personal property tax for changes through February 16th, 2023. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
or wait, Commissioner Stone, I made the motion. Yes, Commissioner Smith?
You could have just said yes, you know, that's yourself, but yes.
Well, I was just trying to recap. It's always odd when Commissioner Price is not here to get through these motions. All right. They'll remain open. Thank you. Oh, yay. Something we need to get a hold of.
Trouble.
Yeah. All firefighters left.
And it's going to have to remain on until we can get Joe down here.
That's fine, it's not that loud.
All right, Commissioner
Pretty sharp,
Smith.
but
All right. You're up.
If we could get just a minute, I'll.
Okay.
you know.
Anybody that is here that doesn't wish to remain,
Hey,
and just
you
has
need
some
to
basic
do that.
business, you can't go. You don't have to stay.
It's alarm.
Especially with the light of the wonderful noise.
Yeah.
thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Great. So informally, if the county ever wants to talk about this, they talk to the park and that sort of thing, so we could.
Yeah, we can call her, by the way, because I'll be on the county committee, so I'll be in there.
Oh, good. Okay. Heather Rosa, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for your stuff. It's really good. You guys know that already. Thanks.
He's putting across the driveway for us as well. To be able to-
Absolutely. It's a big state. A lot of
It's just a small thing.
And you're quick.
We've lost the gym. We've lost the international schools and everything. Creating alternative. I want to say, I appreciate you stepping out doing what you do. Just like kids, you have family that are, you have friends, you see it everywhere, and it's very sad, so I'm really, we're glad somebody stepped up and taken it on.
All right, that brings us to our county coordinator reports. Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
First up, we have, for even more exciting today, we have the contract for the courthouse facilities improvement grant agreement. That's $100,000 for the chiller. So I have a contract and a checklist. I ask that the president be authorized to sign.
This time I move that we authorize the president to sign the courthouse facilities improvement grant agreement.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve and authorize the contract grant for the Courthouse Facilities Improvement Authority grant and authorize the president to sign that. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we have 2 copies of each. And we're hoping with everything finalized that we can get rolling on the project itself, get it out for bid. Something we'd like to get replaced before the summer months, so we can ensure continued cool air for the courtrooms.
You have a place here marked from the checkoff list, but do I need to fill in the initial this one?
Yes, Steve, sorry.
Three total places to sign, is that?
There should be 2 checklists and 2 copies of the agreement.
Yes, okay. All right.
Let's see. All right, so we have, this is the PSD number 14, the generator project update. As you well know, there was a recent budget revision request as the bids are coming in at about twice what the original estimate was, pushing it around the $500,000 mark. So we had this letter from Dale Hatfield, which is a culmination, or the latest in a round of correspondence concerning the additional funding. And as he is pointing out, the state is looking for any kind of additional local contribution to the increased costs. They had suggested that communities use ARPA funds in this situation. Now, Corey Lazier, who has been handling this project, has suggested that we tell them that ARPA funds would not be available because we are already committing $155,000 to PSD number 4 for a separate project. So they're asking us to look at other possible areas of funding. It doesn't mean that they're going to refuse us outright, but they do want us to take a look.
Right.
So I wanted to bring that to your attention. They sent along a list of suggestions several state agencies that we can go to, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. And lastly, we do have one budget revision for today, and that is coming out of the sheriff's department. They are doing a reimbursement for overtime costs through the stop grant and other areas. That is in the amount of $12,630. That money will go into $967 for FICA, $1,642 for the retirement, and $10,021 for the overtime itself. They also had a return on materials and supplies. They received a refund on that, so they're increasing by $303, recovering the $15 postage cost and $288 for the equipment itself. And with that, that's for the budget revision to be authorized.
That's all we have.
That is it.
Okay.
At this time, I move that we approve the budget revision from the sheriff's office.
I will second that motion. It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the budget revision from the sheriff's office in the amount of $12,630. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Nothing under miscellaneous correspondence?
No.
All right. Commissioner Smith, do you have any comments?
I have a solid waste authority meeting tomorrow evening, and then also, Thursday, I have a Region 6 Plan Development Conference meeting, and then a workforce meeting on Friday. And, that's about it.
I can't even believe that we're in the month of December.
Mhm.
So we had a meeting, I'm part of the board for the Economic Development Authority, but we had a strategic plan meeting. It was held down at Camp Dawson last week on Wednesday. And working with a third party that came in to help with some of that strategic planning. And it was a really, I think it was a great meeting. There are so many things in this county, I believe, that are untapped or just not truly being looked at to get the fullest, to get the fullest potential out of a lot of different areas. And I really feel that by having this company take a good look at the county, that it can help some of the leaders that we have working in key positions to help with economic development. So I think it was a great meeting. And I know Hunter attended as the upcoming commissioner, replacing Commissioner Price. Commissioner Price also attended, and Commissioner Smith as well. And with the rest of the board and other people that were invited to attend. So it was a very a great meeting. Again, I want to encourage people to take a look at the Economic Development Authority website. It is really, now that it's been redone, a really good tool for the county, for folks looking to come here and bring business and other opportunities. So it is a great resource now that it's up and going and functioning. There's also, I've received over the last several weeks some concerns from individuals in various areas of the county for roads and also infrastructure, as far as who the phone and internet service providers are in their area, or if they have options. They're looking for other options because they're not happy with the service that they have. Also, the commission was reached out to again by a person that had reached out to us previously concerning the bridge in Terraza. I had, when we had talked about this the last time, I had been working on some stuff concerning it and had sent an email, not only to the governor's office, that was a separate issue, but also to the pool of people that we were working with in 2021, which consisted of the Division of Highways, CSX, and various other individuals within those organizations, including the mayor, just asking CSX and the Division of Highways to tell us where we need to go from here. Because they really couldn't, it's my understanding that they couldn't come to an agreement, and they just are doing nothing. And so I did have one person out of the probably 10 to 12 people that were included in this email that responded back. And I just feel like they need to at least have the courtesy to reply to the email. So working through some of that, I guess it's easy to not respond, but I'm not going to stop with a no response. I'm going to continue on up the chain. So that is, I mean, regardless, we've talked about it before. I mean, I felt like the bridge that was being proposed was way a much larger scope of a project than what it needed to be to.
But, and I know what you're saying, because I know like the mayor said that they needed a one-lane bridge, but
I
like
agree
the
that it could be
DOE,
a two
but
lane.
the DOH said they have to put it, they have their standards.
They have their specs and.
And they have to meet that national permitting stuff and
Sure.
everything, so they have no choice but to build it the way they gotta build it, so.
Sure, well, and, you know, there was other areas that were willing to come to the table since the scope of that project was so big, you know, to look at getting some very valuable resources and infrastructure across in the bridge construction, such as your internet. Different things could get across the railroad track that way. And so I just feel like they need to come back to the table, because just because no one's saying anything doesn't give permission to not be working on it, you know? And we shouldn't have to continue to ask. They should be coming up with a workable solution here, and not just thinking because we're not talking about it doesn't mean they're off the hook, because that's not the case. And, you
The
know,
sheer frustration of this is, if they had originally built this back when it was first brought to their attention in 2000, 20 years ago, it would have been a whole lot cheaper, and it would have been done, and we wouldn't be having this conversation at this point in time. But they decided they couldn't come together, and they kept pushing down the road, so that CSX has continued to say, well, we'll do 20%. Well, that 20% has grown in those 20 years. But they're still sticking to the 20%. Now, if the DOH had just said, you know, we'll suck up that $10,000, which is probably what it would have been way back when, instead of the $100,000 it is now, it could have been done. But no.
well, and the fact of the matter is what's at stake is schools, EMS, fire, and those types of things when those crossings are, you know, blocked, which has happened on numerous occasions, that there was just no way the train span was long enough that both access points were cut off. So, I mean, that's a big deal. So we will continue to work on that, and I'm sad that we don't have, you know, a resolution yet, but it's not for lack of trying. So we're gonna continue to work on that. And that's really all that I have for today. So Linda, do you have anything else? All right, Connie?
Speaking of the facility managers.
Yes. Oh, do you have something that you would like to discuss?
I do,
Okay, all right, maybe when we do that, we'll just go ahead and list them on here.
He is, we didn't have the actual,
Okay, so we'll just put his name down there.
Yes.
If he has something, you're here. If not, then we'll know that you don't have anything.
Okay.
We had the fire alarm come on.
Yeah, I was gonna, first things first, give the time sheet.
Okay.
We always want to show up on payday. So really quickly, we won't hold the commissioners or the honored guests up. So the first thing for your all's consideration is the sheriff's office roof, I am told, will be done today.
Good.
And it's awesome. It's an amazing thing. They did not encounter any damage to the sheeting.
That's awesome.
So the
That's
price,
really-
yes.
That explains why they're finishing it so
Yeah.
quickly.
So with that being said, commissioners, would you all have any interest in finishing the roof? Now, this is a quote that has expired, but as we all discussed, I did not want to approach the commission until we knew for sure that you did not incur a bunch of
Extra.
costs. Yeah. So now, they could write up a new contract and if you all had any interest, and I have been assured that the price would be similar to that.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. It's probably.
You know, because we're only talking the 29th of November.
Yeah, they'll have to go back and reprice the material, obviously.
Now, I asked this morning, commissioners, and I said, would you advise us to do the rest of the roof this winter? And they said we would. They said the long-term forecast seems to be that the temperatures will be above freezing. And
It will be wet, but it will be above freezing. Yes,
Exactly.
it's supposed to be in the 50s and 60s.
So other than rain days, so as the commissioners know, if we add this as an addition, we don't have to go back through competitive bidding and advertising and all that. So that would save a lot of time. So, and once again, you have all week, we could not get it, the new proposal to you till next meeting anyway. So you have all week to.
So think about.
I have no problem doing that because of some of that, because like their equipment costs and stuff like that, that will probably go down a little bit because they've already got the equipment in place.
Exactly. So
They don't have to move it.
They're here, and like you all know, the hard part is done. This is all a lot more area, but it's easy.
Yeah.
So they're here, and
I'd definitely entertain that.
so
yeah,
if you all
Yeah,
would
take a look at our
consider,
Get an
finances and
estimate.
and they,
Check, make sure we get money to cover it, so.
yeah, and they are going to get the estimate to be relevant until next Tuesday. If you all do decide, you can, they will have it that time. So,
If you get it sooner, email it to us, we can take a look at it. That'd be
So on that note, everything else at the sheriff's office is going great. At the animal shelter, we have begun the busting up the tank project, because I was told last winter, and we could imagine, and now already this winter, every day that's below freezing, you have to go over with the salt truck, because it's, the whole driveway is a sheet of ice.
Mhm.
So we have already took down the fence, the machine is there, we've almost uncovered the first tank, and we're very hopeful that we can bust it today. We always would like to thank Nicole. As we was preparing last week, she dug up all the flowers that had bulbs, so that they wasn't just, going to waste, and now they can be replanted and everything like that. So in preparation, she was out there on a pretty day at the end of last week. So we will very quickly get that project hopefully wrapped up this week. On the animal shelter, on the other project, as you all were so kind, and the Ryan's Fund paid for the new air conditioners. The last furnace and air conditioner needs switched. This week, we took the refrigerant out of the air conditioner. Now we can switch it on a bad day any day. So we're moving along on that project, and it'll very quickly, within the next week or so, be finished as well. So everything's moving along nicely. One last thing really quickly, at the McGrew house, as I told you all last week, there was a leak in the roof. And the folks from Veritas, Marty and Steve Spiker, come down and showed us, and we looked, and we all went up and looked together, and we found a leak. And last Friday, Mark and I was able to fix the leak. And so it really rained and blew on Saturday, and there was no water, and then they had their soup thing on Sunday, and Kathy, the queen bee, was there helping with the soup dinner. She cleaned up the mess, and she said that she felt that we had got the leak in the first try.
Good.
So with that being said, as I reported last week, the folks at Veritas believe that the roof is
is done with its usable life. We don't know how long the roof's been on there, but they wanted to make sure the commissioners understood that we don't have to replace the roof next year. They understood it was a long-term project to get the funding in place, that you possibly have a couple of years, but just so everybody was looking down the road.
Know that it's
forward.
coming.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. So now on the window, of course, as we had said, it's just a patch. So next spring, we will have to decide if they were going to get somebody to take the window out, replace all the wood around the window and the trim and everything, and even repointing a bunch of the mortar. We had to fill in between the bricks, and it was all, the water was making its way into the house several ways. So with that being said, that is all I have. Thank you very much for letting me in.
Thank you. All right, this meeting is adjourned.
Hey, Joe.
To me, that just says, you don't have any figures of the number of hits and the statistics on where they're coming from on their webpage, the new webpage.
For the EDA?
Yeah, I know
they